You're not on the field, court or ice. You're on the couch. From DG to DC, this is Coaching from the Couch with your host, CWall, delivering coverage for all DC sports teams from the hometown perspective. Nats, Skins, Mystics, DC United, Washington Wizards, Caps, Bowie State.
My name's CWall, I'm a PG girl. Down for my skins, I don't know if you heard. If you like watching sports, then I am your girl. Sit down on the couch if you're not on the field. Cold on the ice, pick any sport that you want. Know that I cover it tight. What would you like? From baseball to football and more. The list can go on the whole night. Big shouts out to my HBCU fam. Never forget who I am. Through the wins and the losses, the highs and the lows. We gotta stay strong, so I stay 10 toes. Make the competition back. The way I kick it, make them mad, man. CWall and we live and direct. Sit back on the couch and relax. Come on.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, CWall, in the building. Another week, you get to talk about all things Commanders on this show. All things Commanders, we get to talk about. Listen, you all, even in the off season, there's absolutely never, ever, ever a dull moment. And you all keep showing up to talk about the Commanders. So listen, you all, have you checked in and hit the love button so that I know you are in the building? I see the CWall team is checked in. I already see Nasdaq is on. So make sure you all are saying what's up to Maz. Of course, you know my mom is on. Say hello to Mama Waller. I've seen DJ check in already. Damon has checked in already. Cameron Mingo. Who else am I missing? Make sure you are dropping a hello or love, a hello in the chat or a love button so I can acknowledge you and say hello to everyone, and share this show with your favorite Commanders fans. Share it with your favorite fellow Commanders fans. Of course, you all know you can always catch this show live, but you can also catch the show every week, Fridays. From Fridays to 1:30 to 2:30, we have both shows on local television. If you have Verizon Fios, it is on channel 11. If you have Xfinity, it is on channel 77. I see what Corey has checked in. John Adams has checked in. So you all want to keep dropping everything in the chat so I can mention and say hello to everyone. And so as I went down the list of all the places you can catch the show, please understand you will never miss it at all. Make sure you're sharing the show and you're able to catch up and on everything that you have missed. As you all know, this show is to give you the highlights and the rundown of everything that has transpired. Because as we always like to say, there's never a dull moment in DMV DC sports. And of course, there's absolutely never a dull moment with the Commanders. While we're still in this period of off season, there's a lot that can be discussed. There's a lot. So I'm gonna do something that I like to call, y'all know this. Y'all know this. This is a bit of your choose your own adventure. So I'm going to tell you all, here's some of the topics that are on the list today to potentially discuss. Okay. And like I said, as you're checking in, make sure you're hitting that love button and dropping comments in the chat so I can acknowledge you and say hello and make sure I'm reading off any questions or comments that you have. Now, in choose your own adventure today, here are the topics, folks. New stadium. Because that is actually a topic that we've not discussed yet. So we have to talk about the new stadium. Also, another topic we haven't talked a bit about is there's some top organizations that are cutting ties with the Commanders. What's going on with that? What should we be learning from this or gleaning from this, or is just more information? So new stadium conversation. Another organization cutting ties with the Washington Commanders. More reflections and observations from the Carson Wentz introductory press conference that we still haven't been able to dive deep into. And wanting to talk a bit about the Buffalo Bills being really upset about JD McKissick changing his mind. They're really, it doesn't even seem like they're upset with JD. So, drop in the chat. Which way are we going? Which way are we going? Because I'm ready to do this. Look, a lot can happen in 30 minutes. So we can definitely get the rundown of all the information of where we want to go based on what we've discussed. So let's just roll with it, y'all. We can absolutely roll with it. And while I see you all still dropping some things in the chat, here's one topic we can get through, I think, pretty quickly. And that is, I want it to be known. I'm going to share this one because I think it's important about the business part of this. So let's try to go into that. The business part of this, we've heard it from a couple different angles, right? We've heard from a couple different angles. The good business, the excitement around JD McKissick wanting to return to the Commanders, and the Bills organization has come up and has just said the agent did an amazing job. The agent did everything they were supposed to do, but the other club just wouldn't let up. They wouldn't do their part. They wouldn't let up. And so we already know who won the JD McKissick battle, right? We know how that went down. Now, what also is of note is talking about the feedback that Matt Ioannidis' agent shared about the Commanders. That's interesting because it's kind of the same feedback, but a different outcome, right? It's the same feedback, and there's a complaint on how the business was conducted, both not the best, right? But very different outcomes. I think it's an important point to mention that because that is a recurring theme. Keep that in the back of your mind. It is a recurring thing, and it should be mentioned, and it should not be forgotten. Remember, I said that, okay? Keep it in the back of your minds because it is important. A recurring theme on how business is being done. Hearing feedback now, again, different outcomes, but same general pieces of feedback on not doing the best job from a business perspective. Now, I saw a comment about the sponsors. So just recently, Anheuser-Busch, who is the official beer sponsor of the NFL and more than 12 other teams, ended its partnership with the Commanders. Okay? This is the third company in the past year to say, see you later. Okay? This is the third company in the past year. We know that Inova was one of them. MedLiminal was another. No word yet on the why. No word yet on the why, but it is important to note Anheuser-Busch said, we don't want to be bothered. Let's just keep this going. We're hearing some negative feedback from agents, hearing a bit of negative feedback from another football organization. Now, Anheuser-Busch has said, don't want to be bothered. Could be nothing to see here. Could be something that's recurring. Could be something else that's brewing that has yet to become public. But nonetheless, it is something that absolutely needs to be mentioned. It needs to not be forgotten at all. Okay? Keep those things in mind. Do not forget them. All right. And I see folks are checking in. So make sure you're hitting that love button and dropping a comment in the chat so that I can acknowledge you all and make sure I'm saying hello and taking your questions. So we've gone through already. Here's some of the negative feedback that has come back. Here's the third sponsor in the last year that has said, I think we're gonna see ourselves the door. You don't have to show us the door. We'll see it ourselves. Now, absolutely have to ask you this question because I don't think we've asked it before on the show. And that is, where do you want to see the stadium? I really want to know. And while you're dropping your feedback into the chat on where you want to see the stadium, I'm talking about the show. I have some thoughts. So I've known for a couple of months now that Angela also built Prince George's County absolutely is putting in. They want to put a bid in. They absolutely want to see the stadium stay near exactly where it is, perhaps a little closer to Morgan Boulevard Station, and they're really looking at this being an entertainment complex and center, very similar to what other cities do. And if you can also drop in the chat, what cities have you been to where you really like their entertainment complex? And while you all are doing that, I'm going to mention some areas that I like. Now, you all know this is a Prince George's County based business. You know, CWall Sports and Entertainment, and as well as the CWall Foundation. You know, I'm a Prince George's County native. I'm a Prince George's County resident. So I absolutely get it. Absolutely understand it. I absolutely get it. And then it becomes well, what are you going to do with the current space? Because if you're familiar with Prince George's County, the space that was once held by Landover Mall, that space is still empty. We still got to figure that out. So is that an opportunity for the county, being a county resident, of course, to see the county grow and have an entertainment complex? Absolutely. I'd be absolutely on board with that. Trust and believe me, I absolutely would. But here's another thought process as well. And that is all of the professional teams play in the District of Columbia. Okay. It would be amazing, in my opinion, to have the Commanders complex uplift the old RFK, right? And uplift that area, because in other cities, that's what you see. Other cities, I'll even use Philly. Like in Philly, a lot of their sports professional teams, it's a whole complex, right? Where many of them play. And I think it's pretty cool. At least some of the other teams. Now, of course, when it comes to the football stadiums are always a bit outside and a bit away from where all the action is happening. I mean, if you really want to be technical, right down the road on the Beltway, I mean, it ain't like it's the Ravens are down the street. And you know where the Ravens play and the O's play, it's all right there together. So it's a dope concept to have all the teams, or the majority of the teams, right there together. And I think with the energy around, I mean, let's be for real now, y'all. Can we be for real for a minute? With the Caps having won the Cup in 2018, with the Nats having won the World Series, the Mystics having won the WNBA championships, both of those things transpiring in 2019. DC United over the years has always made a name for themselves in Major League Soccer. We have everything right here. You know, the Mystics have their stadium and their arena now too. Absolutely. I would think the easy, because it's not easy, but the easy answer is putting it in DC. The thing of it is, it's federal ground. It's federal ground. So this would have to be something that will have to be discussed and approved and basically written into legislation by Congress. And I don't think Dan Snyder has the best rapport with Congress at the current time. So there's an opportunity, and I think it makes all the sense in the world to put the Commander Stadium, revitalize RFK, put it there. It makes all the sense in the world. I think another thing, like I said, my close runner up again, Prince George's County. The space is there. Everybody knows the space is there, and it's a draw. If Prince George's County wants to continue to, I mean, this area has so much top talent coming out of it. So if the state of Maryland, and most notably the county, wants to be, looked at as a top attraction for sports and recreation, then yeah, you're going to revitalize what you currently have. So I think those two options right there between DC, but that's complex because that is federal land. I'm going to keep saying that. That's federal land. So that's a complex topic. Or again, in Maryland, in Prince George's County. Now, we do know that there's some other politics and things that go along with that and getting the money to make sure that it is a full sports and entertainment complex, which that's a whole nother topic. We could talk about a whole nother 30 minutes. But I think those two are very good options. Now, when we talk about the Virginia option, let's be for real about some things, everybody. Let's be honest. The players live in Virginia. Everybody lives in Virginia. They live in Virginia. They practice in Virginia. They practice in Ashburn. That's where they live. So it is something that is a lot more able to accommodate for the team and the organization. So all three of those options all have associated pros and cons. But I think when you start to talk about Virginia, depending on the location in Virginia, again, players play out there. The organization is how. That's where they are. That is where they are. That is where they are located. So this is something that will continue to be a topic of conversation. It will continue to be a topic of conversation. Prince George's County absolutely wants it. It's not really like DC is really making a real move at it per se. We all know that Mayor Muriel Bowser is extremely in favor of having the Commanders come back home, as she has continuously said, to RFK, but there's a lot more that goes into making that decision. And then again, Virginia, that's where the organization, that's where they are. That's where the players and staff, that's where they are. So we'll see. Lots more to come on that topic, but I wanted to make sure we addressed it and talked about it. And you all know that CWall is definitely tracking that storyline. Okay. All right. Now, let's spend the rest of our time then talking about Carson Wentz and going through a bit more of what was shared during the introductory press conference. Are y'all still here? Are y'all still with me? Drop something in the chat so I know that you're still absolutely in the building. Click that love button. Make sure you're sharing with your Commanders loving family and friends. And let me just say this. I always smile to myself. Short commercial break, but it's still me. I always smile to myself when I think about the song, the theme song for the show, because I'm like, we have to change the theme song. And we absolutely are changing the theme song. Spoiler alert. But we also need to kind of keep the theme song too. So we'll figure that out and how that's going to work. But I always look at it now and I look at the pictures and I say, well, geez, is anybody still playing for the Commanders that's in this video? But anyway, commercial break over. Carson Wentz How are you feeling? Are y'all okay? Are y'all, listen, two things. It's two things y'all got to get used to, right? It's two things. One, are you used to the name Commanders yet? Are you used to it? Does it just say it with some power? Okay? That's the name, the Commanders. Say it with me, everybody. The Commanders. Are you used to it yet? The Commanders. There you go. Say it out loud. Say it wherever you are right now. Say it out loud. The Commanders. That is the name. Okay, it's not going to change. That's the name. All right. That is the name. And I see Kevin Williams dropping in the chat. You said, nope, he's still not used to it. All right. So hopefully people could get used to it. That's number one. And number two, and I'm already seeing comments coming through on the chat. Are you okay? Are you used to Commander Carson Wentz being your QB1? Commander Carson. Woo! I just, I'm going to go back to a comment that I made last week in the last show, and that is, when Ron Rivera introduced Carson Wentz, he made it very clear, didn't he? He said, or I like to introduce QB1. Isn't that what you call him? QB1? Carson Wentz. He's a quarterback. So, in other words, there is no quarterback competition. That is the quarterback. Okay. So Commanders and Commander Carson. All right. I want to go back a bit to some of the stuff that was shared. And you all feel free to drop in the chat some of the questions that you have and information you would like to know, or just thoughts that you would like to know from my perspective on some of what was shared from Carson. Now, I want to jump to already on the reports questioning his leadership. Yeah, so for one, reports are reports was part of his answer. And there's truth in some things, all those things. If we were in this business trying to combat and argue every report, we run out of things to say, And so for me, I just try and be myself. Get to know the guys, build the relationships. I strongly feel I had amazing relationships with people in Philly and people in Indy. Loved my time there. To your first part of the question, I mean, knowing that you're wanted and feeling that support from everybody in the organization means a lot. It allows you to go play confidently, freely, which I think ultimately will allow me to play my best ball and try and elevate everybody around me to the full extent that I can. And I look forward to doing that. It's not really an answer to the question, right? And so I want to acknowledge this question that Nasdaq has put in the chat. And it says, do you feel that Wentz is aware on what it is that allows teams to give up on him? And my answer is no. I do not think he is aware. I don't. I do not. Because sometimes people can like you, your player, the players, your teammates can like you. And I'm an advocate for when you are a leader and you are taking leadership development, somebody has to give you the feedback. Somebody needs to be direct and specific when it says, okay, well, there's questions about his leadership. Well, exactly what are you talking about? What specifically, what are the challenges there? What is he not doing that he should be doing? Or what is he doing well that should continue to be harnessed, right? And people should continue to promote and say, and positively reinforce so that he continues to do that. I think that's where some of the disconnection may be, is that he may be unaware exactly what that feedback is, what exactly those points are, and what he needs to do to get better at them. And one of the things that I shared in the show last week is that Ron Rivera is such a character person that I believe that Ron Rivera is like, you know what? I'm going to help this kid. because the kid's got talent and I'm going to help him. He believes that he can help him. And so he's going to definitely give it a try. I want to acknowledge this comment here by TJ Taylor. I think he's exactly the QB that Rivera wanted. As I thought about, he may be the closest thing to Cam Newton in the league when you look at his size and mobility. I do think he has a better arm than any QB we've had in a while. TJ, you know what? I think you're on to something, TJ. And I absolutely see exactly what you're talking about. The whole entire time, all offseason, we started hearing this during the bye week, right? It was, they want a quarterback. They believe they're only a quarterback away. And exactly what you have there, TJ, is exactly what I'm sensing as well. And is that Coach Rivera got who he wanted. Now, we all know there's an opportunity to get better. Of course, you try to get Russell Wilson. You better. You absolutely better. So, yeah, they tried. They tried. You name it, they tried. And they ended up with Carson Wentz. And that's not a bad thing. Let me just be clear. It's not a bad thing. I asked this question on the show, and I believe I've asked it on my pages as well. And that was, but did they get better at quarterback? I'm not saying that they get better like they're going to the Super Bowl next year, but did they improve at the position? And I think that's what they were trying to do. And I think that was exactly the point. And that's what happened. Looks like that's what happened. I want to acknowledge then, DJ, you have a comment here. Looks is really not a bad trade at all. Yeah, if it was any other team that this trade, Commander fans, let's not forget what the Colts organization. Yeah. I mean, hey, DJ's bringing up a great point. And what I need to share here is the Colts. Now, going back to that point, and you all know, because I kind of shared this, right? This is a little tidbit from CWall. Okay, sometimes CWall end up talking a whole lot and end up telling y'all some of my little trade secrets. So we got to keep this amongst the family, all right? So, of course, I know media in other markets. Of course, I'm going to go ask. And folks who have been covering the Colts organization for years, their heads are spinning. They're like, look, this is like the 5th quarterback in 5 years. We tired too. Y'all over there complaining in DC. We tired too. Only gave a man a year. I mean, and now did they get Matt Ryan? They've been a little busy today. I think they got Matt Ryan now. And so here they go again. So this cycle, finding a good quarterback is difficult. That's hard. This is very hard. It's not easy. Okay? And so they're struggling as well in that area of what's the right mix and mesh. If you all recall, there was definitely tweets from current Colts players that are like, you got to be kidding me. We got another quarterback again? The quarterback carousel is not just happening in Washington, folks. It's not just happening in Washington. It's a thing. It is a thing because not everybody has the luxury of getting that Tom Brady, of getting that Russell Wilson, getting that Aaron Rodgers, that Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes. You don't always get it. And all those guys that I just named, other than Tom Brady, it's not like they win the Super Bowl every year either. A lot of things that go into winning a Super Bowl, and quarterback is one key piece, but it's hard. It's difficult, very, very difficult. And I can't believe we're already at time. I feel some type of way about that. Okay, so hey, to close out, I definitely want to mention a lot of the school's pro days are coming up. The Commanders are going to have a presence at several. So it's definitely getting the sense in the field that the Commanders are, in fact, still going to draft a quarterback. So this is something that needs to be tracked. Of course, you know, CWall Sports and Entertainment, we're going to be tracking it. And we're going to be and sharing with you all and tracking it together right here on Coaching from the Couch, the Washington Commanders update. So you all, thank you again, as always, for tuning in. You all continue to be safe. And I hope everybody is well. Are y'all all right? Are y'all okay? Okay, good. You sure? All right. So listen, I will see you all again later this week. or maybe sooner. You never know. But until then, you all be safe, and I'll be talking to you again soon.
You're not on the field, court, or ice. You're on the couch. From DG to DC, this is Coaching from the Couch with your host, CWall, delivering coverage for all DC sports teams from a hometown perspective. Nats, Skins, Mystics, DC United, Washington Wizards, Caps, Bowie State.
My name's CWall, I'm a PG girl. Down for my skins, I don't know if you heard. If you like watching sports, then I am your girl. Sit down on the couch if you're not on the field. Cold on the ice, pick any sport that you want. Know that I cover it tight. What would you like? From baseball to football and more. The list can go on the whole night. Big shouts out to my HBCU fam. Never forget who I am through the wins and the losses, the highs and the lows. We gotta stay strong, so I stay 10 toes. Make the